He smiled as the boss praised his idea, completely unaware that every word, every design, every slide on that presentation had been Sarah's hard work. She had spent months perfecting it. Late nights, filled with coffee and meticulous attention to detail, thinking it would finally be recognized, thinking her efforts would finally pay off. But the moment the words left his mouth claiming credit, something inside her shifted, a quiet storm forming in her mind, a patience sharpened by betrayal. The office air felt heavier, the hum of computers and murmurs of colleagues fading into the background as her focus zeroed in on one undeniable truth. Justice was hers to reclaim, and she would not act recklessly but strategically with precision that no one would see coming. Sarah wasn't the type to lash out. She observed. She recorded. She remembered every interaction, every stolen idea, every smirk he had directed at her. And now, standing at the edge of this injustice, she began plotting a path that would turn his arrogance into his downfall, all while keeping her calm, almost serene exterior, as if nothing had happened at all. She knew that in the quiet patience of the unnoticed, lies unravel, reputations crumble, and the truth finds its way. Sarah had always been diligent, precise, and committed to her work. Every report, presentation, and spreadsheet she prepared reflected not just her skills, but her dedication. She had poured months of effort into the company's newest project, believing it would finally earn her the recognition she deserved. But the moment the manager, Richa, stood in the conference room and presented her project as his own, the room seemed to shrink. Every approving nod, every word of praise, pierced through her silently. He smiled confidently, unaware of the injustice he had committed, while Sarah's hands remained clasped under the table, her face calm but her mind racing. She didn't yell. She didn't storm out. She knew that reactions in the heat of the moment could destroy opportunities. Instead, she observed. She memorized the details. His tone, his arrogance, the smug satisfaction he felt. Her patience became her weapon, and a plan began to form. She started documenting everything. Quietly emails, drafts, timestamps, screenshots. No one noticed, and that was exactly what she needed. In that moment, she decided revenge wouldn't be impulsive. It would be precise, calculated, and utterly inevitable. The manager had taken her credit, but he had unknowingly triggered a chain of events that would soon unravel everything he thought he controlled. Justice, she realized, was not about confrontation. It was about timing, patience, and the quiet accumulation of undeniable evidence. And Sarah had all three. For the next few weeks, Sarah acted as if nothing had happened. She smiled at Richard in the hallway, assisted him with minor tasks, and continued her work diligently. Meanwhile, she quietly observed his routines, his interactions with the CEO, and the ways he claimed other people's ideas as his own. She noticed how easily he lied, how he manipulated meetings, and how his ego blinded him to the smallest details. Every conversation he had was recorded in her mind and, when possibly, logged on her computer. She also noted the weaknesses in his security passwords he reused, files he didn't protect, and emails sent without caution. Sarah understood that revenge wasn't about exposure in front of everyone immediately. It was about building a case so strong that even his denials would crumble. She refined her strategy, deciding which moments to capture and which to let slide. She watched him trust others blindly, confident that no one would challenge his authority. Little did he know, Sarah's calm demeanor hid a meticulous plan, a silent storm brewing that would turn every stolen idea back on him. The manager continued his games, unaware that his actions were feeding the very evidence that would destroy him. Sarah's observation period wasn't passive. It was active preparation, each day strengthening her position, each smile she gave concealing the growing tension. In her mind, the pieces of the puzzle began to align. The time for the perfect reveal was approaching, and when it came, no one would doubt the truth she had so carefully preserved. Sarah knew that confronting Richard directly would be foolish. A head-in battle would only allow him to spin the story, claim innocence, or manipulate perceptions. Instead, she devised a multi-step plan, one that would leave no room for doubt. She began consolidating every piece of evidence she had gathered. Original drafts of the project, email chains with timestamps, internal communications, and even recorded discussions where he casually referenced her work as his own. She organized the files meticulously, creating a timeline that told the story better than any verbal argument could. Her plan was simple in theory, but complex in execution. Reveal the evidence in front of the CEO at the right moment, with undeniable proof that no lie or excuse could counter. Sarah also considered backup strategies, ensuring that if Richard tried to intercept, she would still have redundant copies of everything. Every night, she reviewed the plan, refining her approach, practicing her calm demeanor, and anticipating his potential reactions. The manager believed she was passive, compliant, and intimidated. This perception was her greatest advantage. By acting ordinary, she made herself invisible, hiding the storm of preparation underneath her composed exterior. Sarah understood that psychological warfare wasn't about aggression. It was about patience, perception, and timing. Each small action she took, forwarding innocuous emails, subtly reminding him of deadlines, contributing to meetings, was part of a larger pattern designed to lull him into overconfidence. When the moment came, she would strike with precision, and no one would question the truth. She smiled faintly at the thought, feeling the calm thrill of impending justice. The manager had underestimated her, and that was the mistake he could never recover from. The day of the critical meeting arrived. Betrayal was confident, as always, walking into the conference room with a sense of invincibility. Sarah entered shortly after, calm and composed, carrying her laptop like it was just another ordinary day. The CEO welcomed both, unaware of the storm that was about to unfold. As the meeting began, Richard started presenting, just as he had in the past, taking credit for a new initiative. He smiled, expecting applause. Sarah, however, had anticipated every word. At a subtle cue, she connected her laptop to the projector. Files began to appear, mails, timestamps, draft documents, all meticulously organized, showing every step of her work and highlighting Richard's deceit. Gasps filled the room as the evidence became undeniable. Richard's confident smile faltered. He opened his mouth to speak, but no excuse could counter the meticulous proof displayed before the CEO. Sarah's voice remained calm, professional, and unwavering, narrating the facts without anger or emotion. These are the original drafts and communications for the project you presented as your own. The CEO's expression shifted from curiosity to shock, then realization. Every colleague in the room watched the arrogant manager shrink under the weight of his own deception. Sarah's careful planning and quiet observation had ensured that the truth could not be denied. The execution of her plan wasn't loud or dramatic. It was precise, controlled, and psychologically devastating. The aftermath of the revelation was swift. Richard was asked to step out while the CEO reviewed the evidence thoroughly. Murmurs and whispers filled the office as colleagues processed the turn of events. Sarah remained seated, calm and composed, her heart steady, knowing the storm had passed and justice had prevailed. Within War's official action was taken. Richard was reprimanded, and Sarah's work was publicly acknowledged for the first time. Colleagues approached her with congratulations and admiration, amazed by the subtlety and brilliance of her approach. Sarah didn't boast or celebrate loudly. She had never wanted attention for revenge itself. Her satisfaction came from the quiet restoration of fairness, the knowledge that the manager's arrogance and deceit had been exposed in a way that left no room for doubt. Over the next few days, the office dynamic shifted significantly. Colleagues treated her with renewed respect, and even other departments began seeking her expertise. The incident became a cautionary tale for the office, a silent reminder that dishonesty and theft of credit do not go unnoticed. Sarah's patience, planning, and precision had turned a moment of betrayal into a defining triumph, demonstrating the power of strategic thinking over impulsive action. Sarah's story is a testament to the strength found in patience, intelligence, and meticulous planning. Revenge doesn't need to be loud or violent. It can be subtle, psychological, and devastatingly effective. By observing carefully, documenting thoroughly, and executing with precision, she was able to restore justice without compromising her integrity. The manager had underestimated her, assuming that confidence and status could suppress talent and truth. But the truth, when carefully preserved, has a way of surfacing at the right moment. This story reminds us that those who take credit for others' work, manipulate others, or act with arrogance are never invincible. True power lies in preparation, focus, and patience. Even in moments of betrayal, one can act strategically, turning adversity into an opportunity to restore fairness and command respect. As Sarah walked through the office that week, quiet, confident, and unshaken, the lesson was clear. Patience and intellect are far stronger than impulsive aggression, and justice, when executed wisely, leaves a mark that is unforgettable. In the end, the quiet ones often hold the most power, and those who act with thought and precision write the true ending to every story. And so, the story comes full circle. Sarah, once overlooked and underestimated, stood quietly victorious, her patience and intelligence having turned betrayal into triumph. The manager who had claimed her work, who had trusted arrogance over integrity, now faced the undeniable truth of his actions. But this victory was not born from anger or impulse. It was born from careful planning, observation, and unwavering focus. Sometimes, the quietest person in the room holds the greatest power. Sometimes, justice doesn't need to shout, it simply arrives, precise and unavoidable. Let this story serve as a reminder. Deception, greed, and arrogance may offer temporary victories, but truth and strategy always prevail in the end. And for those who feel wronged, remember, revenge is not just about retaliation. It is about reclaiming your worth, asserting your intelligence, and letting justice unfold in its own deliberate, unstoppable way. Sarah's story is proof that patience, calm, and precision can turn even the most bitter betrayal into a lesson that echoes far beyond the walls of a single office.